So this recording basically shows what happens when you deploy 55 SQL MI GP instances on Azure Kubernetes service. So to start, we have a Git repo where we're committing 55 YAML files, and on the right we have Arc CD that's basically picking up the changes that are happening. And on the left we can see the controller logs being tailed, and the SQL MI CRDs are in creating state. This is Weave Scope, which basically shows all the resources that are being created in the Arc namespace. Here we see the CRDs are in creating state. Nothing particularly interesting. See the stateful sets being spun up, 55 of them. And here we're querying the FSM table. No errors so far, but we're going to have some errors in the upcoming sections, especially when you're doing deletes. We're going to get into that. So here we see the pods getting scheduled on our 5 big nodes, and load balancer IPs getting scheduled. Here we see the logs for Kafka, logs.db for Elastic, and the control pod logs actually getting quite high. And as the pods are coming up, they're connecting to Kafka, which probably contributes to all the logs that are being generated on the Kafka broker. And we see the SQL MI images are being pulled. We see actually 3 that just came up for object reference. And we see the pods going in. Some of the MIs are basically going into ready, and here we see some other errors that happened in the FSM, mostly with object reference not set to instance of an object.NET error. And all our 55 MIs are actually in ready state, and that is the end state. Now we're going to go ahead and delete all these MIs by just reverting the git commit and then confirming prune in Argo CD to actually delete the resources from Kubernetes. We can see the controller basically goes ahead and starts actioning the events, and we're actually going to see quite a few errors in the FSM table that are going to cause the controller to go into a deadlock. And I'm going to pause on that right here so you can see all the errors that came up, and the controller, I noticed, actually doesn't get out of this state. It just kind of stays there, and these last few resources are basically stuck. And so what I did was to get out of this state, basically delete the controller pod with force, and you'll see when we do the delete, the transaction deadlocks that are happening actually get fixed, and when the controller boots up, it gets it out of this stuck state. And we see the FSM entries are pretty much all cleaned up, and the deletion is complete. And I'm just scaling down the EKS nodes back to 0 to not burn money. Thanks.